And we're back again on a Wednesday show. Here's your host, Mark.
On a Wednesday, lots and lots of stuff to talk about, as has been the case since we started back here on the Sports Blitz this last month or so. Lots and lots of debate topics today. I want to get my thoughts out there on the whole Ray Rice situation. I got a little bit out there the other day, but Floyd Mayweather now saying, and Floyd Mayweather is one person on the face of this planet who, if he were no longer existing, the world would be a better place. And I'll talk about that here in a little bit. Also, preview the Razorbacks and Texas Tech on Saturday. I've already told you Arkansas is winning that game at Texas Tech in Lubbock. I know it's been a long time since Arkansas has won a game on the road. Before last week, it had been a long time since Arkansas had won a game at all. So I expect that Arkansas is going to win the game against Texas Tech. I'll tell you how that's going to be done. And if you want to give us a call, 479-968-NEWS. It's 479-968-6397, as I just make a Travis Sham mockery out of this microphone over here. I just bashed it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. The NFL, outside of just the Ray Rice fiasco, college football, Hogs, U.S. basketball. That's a big deal. They're in the semifinals, which everybody in the world expected the U.S. to make it to the semifinals of the FIBA World Cup. But they're taking on Lithuania tomorrow, and that's a big game for the men there. Starting to kind of get it together at the right time. So they put a hurting in the late third, early fourth quarter on Slovenia. They put a hurting on Goran Dragic and his brother Zoran. His name's Zoran. And now 3 NBA teams apparently want him.
Are they superheroes?
Goran's pretty bad.
They sound like superheroes, like Goran and Zoran. The Slovenian superpower brothers.
Yes.
I don't know, that's a bad name, but you get it. We can work on it.
Slovenian
we'll
superpower brothers.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll figure something out better than what I said.
Let's start with our local sports look here. We've got football games obviously coming up this Friday night. I'm looking forward to being in Dardanelle for Dardanelle Boonville. That's going to be a huge game. It's a former 4A4 rival. Now Boonville has moved down into the 4-3A, which is Lamar, Charleston, Boonville now. It's just an unbelievably stacked conference, and Dardanelle now looks to be the favorite in the 4A4. Pottsville played very well, won 36-0 against Gravett, and both of those two teams are going to be on a crash course for one another. They play in September 26th in Pottsville on the 4th game of the year. So Dardanelle's got a tough schedule. They've got a rivalry game to start. They've got Boonville, Clarksville, and at Pottsville. That's like 3 rivalry games right there, 4 rivalry games technically in a row. I know Clarksville's down quite a bit, but by then maybe Eli Craner has things rolling a little bit better, and Clarksville will be a challenge for Dardanelle, but Dardanelle's got a tough schedule. I want to make mention of some guys who had good games on Friday night. We didn't get to really break this down in any sort of detail. I mentioned some things in passing that I knew took place on Friday night, but I'm looking at some numbers over the weekend of things that took place in the high school football games, and Alex Bradlin, 15 of 27, had 122 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also rushed for another touchdown, 77 yards. That's a good game there for the Atkins quarterback. The Dover Pirates won that game, though. Luke Price, 158 yards and 4 touchdowns for the Dover Pirates. And then let me see here. There's some more folks that did pretty well this weekend. Michael Mullen, sophomore quarterback from Russellville, 5 of 9 for 133 yards and 2 touchdowns in his debut. I saw that Chase Bikonovsky played in that game. A lot of folks expected him to be the starting quarterback, and I was told earlier in the week that he was concussed. So he ended up playing. I guess he passed the concussion protocol and ended up playing, or that might not even been true. Who knows? But I was told that. So he came in and played at the end of that game at least, and I believe he had a touchdown. So that Russellville team looking pretty good. Now, Russellville this week will be taking on Rogers Heritage. That's going to be a road game. So Cyclone fans are going to be packing up, going up 540 to get to Rogers. Hector got a big win on a Friday night. Tanner Gaines, his talented sophomore quarterback, was 16 of 21, had 3 touchdowns and 262 yards passing. Also had another 2 touchdowns on the ground, 67 yards rushing. That's a really good game for him. Tyler Brashear had 10 carries for 92 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also had 4 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown. Man, that's a lot of production coming from 2 guys there in Hector. But Tyler Brashear, Tanner Gaines, those guys had really, really good games. Josh Duggar from Pottsville, one of the talented twins, 3 of 5 for 39 yards passing as the quarterback. Also ran for 141 yards and 2 touchdowns. Played defense, had a interception as well. So that's a big game from the Pottsville replacement for Michael Perry, who's playing. I think Michael Perry's returning punts for Arkansas Tech as a freshman. That'll tell you all you need to know about what they think about him. He's a baller. He's playing a little corner and safety. I heard he was splitting time at corner and safety. He seems a little small to play safety, but I know he's fast. I know he's a hard worker, and I'm sure he's gotten a lot stronger too. So I'll be watching Michael Perry sometime this year. That's gonna be cool. Also from Lamar, Braxton Sampley, 21 of 35 for 310 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was surgical on Friday against Clarksville. So that's a big game there from him. So congratulations to those who had good games this week. This week, Atkins is hosting Bigelow, Clarksville's at Ozark, Danville's at Mount Ida, Dardanelle is hosting Boonville, Dover's hosting Cedarville, Hector is at Hackett, Lamar's at Subiaco, Pottsville is hosting Morrilton, Russellville's at Rogers Heritage, Two Rivers is at Perryville, and Western Yale County hosts Johnson County Westside. So those are your high school games of the week. I was trying to get Coach Greg Smith from the Dover Pirates on the show this morning. Went and looked through my phone. Don't know where his number went. I had it, and now I don't. So I asked our audience to share it with us if they could, and I'll check and see if I get it, if I can give him a call and get him on the show. I'd love to hear from him about the big win over Atkins that his Dover Pirates got on Friday. I mean, that's a really big win. To win your rivalry game, the Rivals Cup, against a crosstown rival, and to really get things going in the right direction. That's 3 games in a row that Dover's won. They lost their first, I think, 8 or 9 games last year, but won their last 2, win their first game this year. That's a really big deal for the Dover Pirates to get going in the right direction. Luke Price, I mentioned, had 4 touchdowns. That guy's very good. He's very, very talented. So we'll preview some games on Friday. Hopefully get to talk to Coach Smith if we don't get to talk to him today. And then there was another coach that I was wanting to get on and talk to. I guess it was Mark Taylor from Hector. I'd like to talk to both of those guys. Talk to pretty much everybody else. I know we've talked to most of the other coaches in the area, maybe Josh Harrison from Two Rivers, and a couple other ones that we can get on the show to let you hear from them. If you've missed any of our previous conversations with coaches, normally we do them in the 11 to 11:15 segment, the first segment of the show, so that we can really open up things with the local sports angle that I know a lot of folks appreciate from being around here. But you can go back to our archives. Maddie, what's the easiest way for folks to catch the Sports Blitz archives and find their coach's interview?
The best way is to figure out the best way.
Yes.
The best way would be, I'm trying to find our actual channel.
Is it? Would you think YouTube or go and search in the site would be?
It would be YouTube best to go to our YouTube page, which would be youtube.com/ I'm trying to figure out what it would be.
Well, you can go to YouTube and you can search River Valley Leader and it will pop up with that page, and you can find that page and scroll through the dates. But you may have to watch several of them to find the coach that you're looking for. Maybe we can tag them with the coaches from now on.
Yeah, we'll start doing that.
And then you can search for your coach's name, and if we've talked to them that day, it'll pop up. That's what we'll do. We're improving right here on the air live here at rivervalleyleader.com on the Sports Blitz. A couple things. Let's do the wire real quick, because I've got some football topics that I want to get to, and I definitely want to talk Hogs. I need to make mention of the fact that Coach Johnny Johnson from the Russellville athletic department. He's the athletic director. He sent us a message and told us that the Cyclones and all 7A West, 7A, 6A West teams will be playing at 7:30 this year. So their kickoffs will be at 7:30 when a lot of these other schools are kicking off at 7. So you can wait a little bit. You can still get there early if you want, but I wouldn't show up at 6:30. You'll be an hour early rather than 30 minutes. So their games will kick off at 7:30, and I needed to make mention of that. But we mentioned the FIBA Americas, I guess, what do they call it? The FIBA World Championships or World Cup. And the U.S. just absolutely annihilated Slovenia yesterday, to move into the semifinals. Everybody knows they're on a crash course with Spain. They're playing in Spain, and I made the tweet yesterday when the U.S. was struggling. It was a 7-point game at the half. I thought Spain is about to roll the U.S. If Kevin Durant were around, it's not such a big deal because I say not such a big deal. Spain wouldn't have such an advantage in my eyes because it seems like the U.S. struggles to put points on the board. And then in the second half, they roll up Slovenia, and they scored 119 points in the game. And this is 4 10-minute quarters. That's a lot of points. That's a lot of points in a regular NBA game that's 48 minutes long. But to score 119 points in 40 minutes, that's a lot. Klay Thompson had 20. James Harden had 14. Kenneth Faried 14 and 10, and he's been the best player on this team. I know Anthony Davis has been really good. He had 13 and 11. Derrick Rose had 12. Reading this ESPN.com story, it said Derrick Rose was 18 of 30 or 8 of 37 in the World Cup before yesterday. So he sort of came around a little bit. Goran Dragic of the Phoenix Suns, he led Slovenia with 13 points. He's really good. But the U.S., I thought having Kevin Durant on this team would make things easier on them offensively. I wonder how they're going to be able to play against Spain and all that size with the two Gasol brothers. If Kenneth Faried hasn't been the best player in this tournament, Pau Gasol has. So having both the Gasol brothers and Serge Ibaka and Ricky Rubio, who I think is garbage, but with that team, he plays pretty well. I know a lot of my friends who like the NBA just love Ricky Rubio, but I have nothing for a guy who can't shoot at all. And he shoots like 30%. So
he sure is fancy with that ball.
Yeah, he can pass it real smooth. Like he can pass behind his back.
He's like a Globetrotter. You remember Globetrotters back in the day?
Yeah. You don't have to make that face on there. Nobody can see your face. So you don't.
I wish they could.
Yeah, I don't. I'm glad. U.S. won its 61st consecutive game. They get the Lithuania fighting. What's that dude's name? Oh, there was a guy who used to play for Lithuania back in the day. He was really good. Look it up. NBA basketball players from Lithuania. Crap, his name is right on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember what his name is. Arvydas Sabonis. I'm pretty sure he's from Lithuania. The Fighting Sabonises.
I'm about to find out.
U.S. is going to beat Lithuania.
Well,
it may be closer than
Big
the experts
Z is
think.
from Lithuania.
Is he really?
Yeah.
He might come back and play for the Cavs now. Did you see that?
What was the name you said again?
Arvydas Sabonis. I believe he was from Lithuania. So U.S. will beat them, and then they'll play Spain in the finals in Spain. Spain's got like 7 NBA players on their team, and I know that the U.S. has all 15, 16 players, NBA players, but this team's been playing together forever.
You are correct.
These
He
guys,
is Lithuanian.
I knew it. These guys have been playing together forever. They've been in the last 2 Olympic gold medal games against the U.S.'s A team and giving them everything they can handle. I think it'll be an upset if the U.S. wins, which I like to root for the underdog, and I definitely like for the U.S. to not be considered that bully that, they should beat everybody by 1,000 points. When you get to that game against Spain, it's going to be a very good game. I'm interested to see who's favored in that game. I think Spain will be, but that's just my opinion. So we'll see how that turns out. Also, did you see? A lot of people are calling it cocky. Some people are calling it smart. I kind of fall somewhere in between. John Calipari is going to be hosting, in the Kentucky Wildcats, going to be hosting an all-Kentucky combine. Now, they've got like 9 players on their team that are McDonald's All-Americans. They send 4 or 5 guys every year to the NBA, and he's going to have a day, or a weekend, I guess it is, where the NBA scouts, all of them, are welcome to just come watch his team work out, practice, scrimmage, do whatever, put them through the drills and those types of things. What do you think about it?
I think it's an incredible recruiting tool. That's when I heard it, I was wow.
I think the fact that they put 1,000 guys in the NBA every year is a pretty good recruiting.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, if you man, it leads into that. It's like we put so many players in the NBA that we're going to have our own combine. And so if you want to get into the NBA, you come here type thing. And,
See,
I wish
heard,
Arkansas could do it. When I heard it, I was like, that would be sweet. I don't
yeah,
blame
they
him.
come watch the 2 players on Arkansas's roster that they – no, they're probably 3 or 4 that Arkansas that will get a look. But I heard Matt Jones talk about this yesterday, and I don't want to steal his thunder because he did make the point, and he's been there on the court and see, in the field and NFL or in college football to see this type of thing happen. But he made the point that a lot of times coaches will come in through a week and it'll kind of be disruptive. You'll have guys wanting to watch certain players and that type of thing, and rather than have to deal with that over and over throughout the year, and all these NBA scouts wanting to come watch your guys play, and not just the games, but watch them in practice and put them through workouts and these types of things. John Calipari's sort of nipping that in the bud, and like you said, it's a recruiting tool, and it's sort of just a look where we are. We're so far above everybody else that we're going to play. They're loaded this year. Kentucky's loaded. If they don't win the national championship, it will be because John Calipari screwed up somehow, or everybody in the world got hurt. But they're going to have this one weekend sort of NBA scouting combine, and I think it's kind of cool. I don't like John Calipari at all. I think he's a scumbag, but it's pretty smart. And he's going to avoid some distraction. He's also going to take all the distraction at once rather than spread it out as far as the NBA guys being there during his practices and being there during his games and trying to mess with his guys. So that's going to be an interesting little deal. I want to talk. Let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about this Ray Rice situation because news broke after we left the show on Monday that Ray Rice had been suspended indefinitely by the NFL after the Baltimore Ravens cut him. I said on Monday, and it was incorrect, I said that if Ray Rice, that the Ravens wouldn't cut him because if he was cut, immediately a division rival would pick him up, would claim him on waivers. I misunderstood. I didn't misunderstand. I underestimated the outrage that would grow over the course of just a couple hours before Ray Rice was blackballed from the league. I want to talk about that. I want to also talk about one of my least favorite human beings in the world. Maybe this will be the last time we ever have to talk about him. Maybe this show can convince people to never have anything, to not put another dollar in Floyd Mayweather's pocket. It's not gonna work. There's still enough idiots in the world who will go watch him fight and will talk about it and will buy the pay-per-view that he's gonna make a lot of money. But it would be a glorious utopian world if Floyd Mayweather went broke. I'll just say that. We'll talk about that right after the break.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KRK4 today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out rivervalleyleader.com.
All right, I've mentioned that I was a little bit wrong on the Ray Rice situation on Monday. The video came out, we played it, we showed it. You can go look. I'm sure you've seen it by now. If you hadn't, you can find it in a lot of different places, but we've got it on the replay of the Sports Blitz. They're on YouTube and at rivervalleyleader.com and facebook.com/sportsblitz, facebook.com/RVL News. You can find it in a number of different ways. And if you'd like to call us today and give us your opinion on any subject today, 968-NEWS. It's 968-6397. That's the phone number that you can get a hold of us at. But I made mention of some initial thoughts about the Ray Rice situation, and my thoughts were sort of more outrage at the NFL because they gave him a 2-game suspension, and then they said, we didn't see the video inside the elevator. And Maddie made the point that, what did you expect that video to look like when he drags a carcass out of the elevator? You knew she got knocked out somehow. You knew it had to have been a fairly violent thing. You suspended him for 2 games. Why, with all the power and might of the NFL, did they not go after that video? Because they say this is the first time they'd ever seen it. And Roger Goodell made a point. Yeah, he talked yesterday on CBS, and he said something about how we go after credible sources. What's not credible about the
video
casino's
from the casino
video? Like David made the point earlier, I was talking to him, and he said, I can understand not taking information from the crackhead as credible information, but if the crackhead's got a video on his phone, I mean, so they don't think the casino is all that credible, possibly. Maybe that's what their opinion is, but it's video. If it's doctored, maybe that's a different story. But if it shows a guy punching a woman in the face, knocking her smooth out, that's pretty cut and dried. It's pretty well right there in front of you. There's not, I don't buy the whole, we went with just the law enforcement type thing. And Roger Goodell,
covering themselves.
He made a point that it would have been illegal for them to get the footage any other way. I just don't buy it. Even if you can't get the video, you can go to the casino and you can say, show me the video. Can you not do that? Is that not something I don't know. I just know we were talking about this the other day. Here at River Valley Leader, we have to go about Michelle, our breaking news coordinator, Michelle Josmeyer. She goes about her job in the most professional way she can. She goes through the proper channels. She asks police questions. She asks through the public information officer, the sheriff, whoever it may be, for information. Sometimes the police don't want to give you information. Sometimes, and to harm an investigation is not something we would ever want to do. So sometimes we have information that we can't share. But to stop with just the police and not to go further, like they said that they went to the police and one other, who was it that Roger Goodell said they went to? But it wasn't the casino to ask for the video. I know that. But to stop we just went to the police, it's either incompetence or a lie. It's one of the two. It's either they were incompetent and they didn't think, these guys, they have investigators, private investigators that dig in stuff. And if they would just stop with, the police didn't tell us, so we didn't. I think it's either willful ignorance, a cover-up, or absolute incompetence. And either one, I don't know. Roger Goodell's going to survive it because he works for the owners. I'm not saying that I said on Monday I thought he should be gone, but the owners will not fire him. Apparently he's in really, really good shape with the owners. They're making more money than they've ever made. The Bills sold for $1.4 billion yesterday. I don't think the owners are too upset with old Raj, but I just think it's absolutely crazy that they couldn't come up with that footage. And they suspend Ray Rice for 2 games. I heard Justin Acree say the other day that a very good point about how the NFL can't suspend him indefinitely. Like, it's going against their own policy that they just instituted. Okay, they said it's a 2-game suspension, but then they overrode that for the next offense, I guess, the next offender. And they said first-time offense, 6 games. Second-time offense, lifetime ban. How does Ray Rice not get a 6-game suspension? How is that not his suspension? You can't
That is a
suspend him
good
for
point.
more because you've already put it in place. So your indefinite suspension has to be 6 games. It has to be, or else you just went against yourself. That was a very good point that Justin made, and I don't see how the NFL doesn't look like an absolute fool as an organization. I don't see how they don't look foolish after this whole thing. This brings me to the next point. You can't defend Ray Rice, and I've asked today's CrossFit Russell poll question: if you were an NFL franchise, would you ever take a chance on Ray Rice? Roger Goodell said yesterday he doesn't want to he would not close the book on Ray Rice ever playing in the NFL again. I get that. Like I said, I don't see how it's more than a 6-game suspension. I don't see how they justify it rather than to say it's only a 6-game suspension if we don't have video. So not to defend Ray Rice, but I do want to talk about him as a human being here in a minute. But because let's just do that. I don't like quitting on people most of the time. Now, Floyd Mayweather, you'll hear my thoughts on him here in a minute, and I'm done with him as a human being. Let Jesus sort it out because I got nothing for him. But like Ray Rice made a bad decision on video. He got caught. I don't think he should pay for it for the rest of his life. He's already going to pay for it for the rest of his life in the court of public opinion, in his relationship with his fiance, now wife. And I also don't think we should be victim blaming either. There's a lot of folks, well, what did she do? Apparently she spit on him. Some folks said that. I thought he spit on her, but that was just neither here nor there. She's not necessarily to blame in this because she walked toward him and he knocked her out. But somebody's got to help Ray Rice. Like, you can tell from the way he reacts that, it didn't seem like too big a deal to him, that he just knocked her out. Maybe he was drunk. I don't know. Maybe this had happened 10 times before where they'd just been in fights and he'd punched her and shut her up for a little bit. I don't know. Somebody's got to help the dude because you just throw him out and you act like he's the scum of the earth and nobody wants to ever have anything to do with him. And what kind of message does that send? And that's from a personal standpoint, where the way I would see it. I've seen some folks in some bad situations. Some folks did some bad things. You think Michael Vick would be in the league right now if there were a video of what he did? But he got a second chance. He's rehabilitated, paid his debt to society, so to speak, went to jail. I won't put it past Ray Rice to be back in the league at some point. And I do think he needs help. And I think if he gets that help, no, he's never going to be he's never going to be looked at the same, and it's never going to be totally okay because he punched a woman in the face. But I don't want to end his life, that type of thing, for one mistake. Floyd Mayweather, on the other hand, he's come out and he said the NFL messed up. They overpunished. They're being harsh toward Ray Rice. Floyd Mayweather is a serial woman beater. He beats women. Go look it up. There's a story that I shared on our Facebook page once before. I'll share it again about Floyd Mayweather and how there are numerous accounts of him punching women, and he would do things like he would punch them in the back of the head over and over and over where it wouldn't show, with the hair on their head covering it, and he would knock women out just like he'd been accused and the things had been dropped. The guy makes $75 million every time he fights. I'm sure that these women are either paid off, threatened, or in some way encouraged to drop whatever they have against Floyd Mayweather. But over and over and over, and you can read in this story, I think it's a Deadspin article, a handful plus times that Floyd Mayweather had been accused or had been in jail or had been charged and dropped with domestic abuse and particularly hitting females. This is a man who hits men for a living. He knocks men out. He tries his best to knock men out for a living, and he's hitting women. I don't want to shut up, Floyd Mayweather. I don't want to ever hear from you again, ever, about anything. I don't want to see you fight. I don't want to hear your mouth. I don't want to see your stupid checks on Instagram.
I will watch the highlights when you get knocked the hell out.
I want, and this is so bad, I want bad things to happen to Floyd Mayweather. Like, I'm just so done with that guy. I wish, beyond wish, that we as a society would shut people like him up forever. Like, if he is beating women, and David made this mention earlier, that his thought would be, if guys like Floyd Mayweather, who beats women and this isn't an isolated incident, this is like a pattern of behavior, who show that pattern of behavior and are caught, just take him out back and shoot him. You do that on live TV in front of everyone, and this stops. I know that's harsh, and that's never going to happen ever in a million years, but there's got to be a way that we can stop this kind of crap from happening. And guys like Floyd Mayweather, he's scum. Please don't buy his pay-per-view. Don't watch his fight. Don't even watch the highlights. Don't mention his name. Don't put him on Twitter. Don't put him trending. Don't like his Instagram posts. Go unfollow him from every social media you can possibly get a hold of. Let's boycott Floyd Mayweather Jr. as a human being, and maybe, just maybe, one day he'll get the message that he's absolutely scum.
Nah, he won't. But let's do it anyway.
He is absolute scum. I've never watched one of his fights. I'll never watch one of his fights. I hope he gets knocked so bad out next fight, Maddie, that he never says another word.
Yeah.
That's so bad.
I'm with you.
It's so bad of me, but that's just where I am.
Man.
It's bad. Like I said, Jesus is going to have to help him because I got nothing for him.
Well, even without all the beating on the women mess, he's just, let's just be frank, he's an asshole anyway. So I've never watched one of his pay-per-views. I've watched pirated streams online hoping he would lose, but that's about as far. Yes, I have.
These are not the opinions of RiverValleyLeader.com, the Sports Blitz, Mark Freeman, or anyone else. Yeah, I got nothing for him. So I wish he'd shut his mouth, because that's just ridiculous. Oh, the NFL, they were just too harsh. Yeah, of course they were just too harsh in your mind, because you want all the guys to be able to get away with beating women half to death. I'm not ready to quit on Ray Rice, the human being, but Floyd Mayweather, I'm done with you. I was listening to guys on First Take this morning who like him, and they were, nope, got nothing for you. He was wrong. He's wrong. Nope, nothing more to say about him. Let's take a break. Now I'm in a bad mood. Want to talk some college football, some NFL. Get with the Hogs here in a minute. We'll talk about how they're going to beat Texas Tech. I've already made mention they're going to beat Texas Tech. I'll tell you how right after the break.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
KRK4 today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out rivervalleyleader.com.
I'd like to apologize for the language used on this show today.
What the hell, Mark?
We've been a little upset today, okay? And this is the internet, so we can technically say whatever we wanted to,
Yeah.
but we try to be a little more PG most of the time. Today, man, you just talk about guys like Floyd.
That's the problem. Yeah.
It just brings it out of you. It's hard not to say things that you don't say often on there. All right, let's move into the NFL. Thursday night game, Pittsburgh at Baltimore. I picked Pittsburgh to win this game. I don't know how in the world Baltimore overcomes this Ray Rice situation. Maybe they circle the wagons, so to speak, and maybe they play very well this week at home in their home opener. But the game last week against Cincinnati, it was a weird game for Baltimore to lose the way they did. The A.J. Green juggling catch for a touchdown that wins the game, or depending on how you look at it, loses the game for Baltimore. But to have Pittsburgh coming in, who's going to throw it all over the place, and Baltimore with the Ray Rice fiasco going on, you've lost Ray Rice, your best running back, who is probably your best player. I don't know. They got guys like Nada that are really good on the defensive side, but to lose him, to lose Bernard Pierce, I know they've got Justin Forsett, but I'm sort of wondering how they're going to – they were down 15-0 in the Bengals game for a long time, came back to get a lead, I believe, and then Cincinnati scored a touchdown late to win that game. But Baltimore, they got clicking a little bit late, but my point is, if they do that again and they get down in this game, I could see Pittsburgh rolling off and running away. But if not, like I said, if they circle the wagons around, the tight-knit team, Joe Flacco and John Harbaugh hold them together, maybe. But I've got Pittsburgh winning that game. It's going to be a fun one. Dallas at Tennessee. Maddie made the mention yesterday that Dallas winning this game, it's just not – it doesn't look likely, but that's so Dallas. They go into a road game after they just got smoked, and they win a game that they're not supposed to win against a team. I mean, Tennessee's not the best team in the world
that's what
by
they
any
do.
means, but it is what they do. And they're a 500 team, so if they lose one, they win one. And then the next game, I don't even know who Dallas plays in the next game, but it doesn't matter. They're going to lose, and then the next game they're going to win. It's just, it is very frustrating. Last year against Denver, they scored 48 points and lose. That's Dallas, man. We've got to call it Dallasing or Cowboysing or something. I don't know. We got to come up with something for what happens when it's just inevitable what's going to happen. I'm feeling it. You be thinking about it. Dallas, Tennessee, that's a good one there on Fox. Miami, Buffalo, battle of 2 1-0 teams. Buffalo beat Chicago, and that was a good win for them. Jacksonville, Washington, Arizona, the Giants, New England, Minnesota. Will Tom Brady go to 0-2 against your boys? I've picked New England to win. I picked, I think, 7 games. I think I picked 7 games. I picked 5 road teams. That's never a good idea in the NFL to pick all those road teams, but I did pick New England to win that game against Minnesota. New Orleans at Cleveland. I've got the Saints winning. They played perhaps the game of the week last week against Atlanta. It was a very good game. Atlanta came out on top in overtime. Cleveland, they're a mess, and I don't think that they're going to have – and they played well enough last week against Pittsburgh to win the game. They came back from a big deficit, 27-3, and tied the game and lost, in a last-second field goal. But I expect New Orleans going to go in there to Cleveland and get that win. Atlanta, Cincinnati is probably the game of the week. Those are 2 really good teams. They both won last week. Cincinnati played pretty well at the beginning, let Baltimore back in it, and like we said, A.J. Green made that catch. Atlanta trying to go 2-0 after they lost. They were 2-14 last year, I believe, or maybe 3-13. But they're a team that was in the NFC Championship
Who is this
game.
you're talking about again?
Atlanta,
yeah.
They lost Roddy White. They lost Julio Jones. They lost a bunch of guys last year and just went in the tank. And they lost all these games. I think they're a lot more likely to be that contention for the NFC Championship than 2-14 team from last year. So that's going to be a fun game there in Cincinnati. I picked Atlanta to win that game. That's going to be a tough one. I just think that Cincinnati's defense is pretty good, but Julio and Roddy White, it's going to be tough for them to handle them all day long. So Atlanta's defense is going to have to play well, though, because A.J. Green and Cincinnati playing pretty well there with the offense. And Andy Dalton got paid. Detroit at Carolina. I picked Detroit to win this game at Carolina. Cam Newton coming off the rib injury. He was inactive last week. I expect him to play there at noon in Carolina. Carolina's defense is pretty good, but I don't know how people are going to stop Megatron in Detroit this year. They've got a lot of weapons. Golden Tate is a number 2 with Calvin Johnson as the number 1. Reggie Bush, Joique Bell. They've got some guys who can play on the offensive side of the ball. On the other side, you've got Sue and Fairley and those guys on the defensive line. Detroit's putting a good team together, and they don't have Jim Schwartz to go stupid. I don't think he was ever head coach material. Jim Caldwell, at least he'll be a calming influence on the team, and he'll be able to keep them level-headed and keep Matt Stafford from doing crazy things like throwing 7 interceptions in a game. St. Louis, Tampa Bay, Seattle at San Diego. I got Seattle winning that game, although they are a completely different team on the road than they are at home. I just think that their defense is good enough right now. And Arizona, very depleted defense this last week, shut down San Diego. Just shut them, grinding halt. And I think Seattle can do the same thing and win that game against San Diego. Houston at Oakland. I got Houston in that one. The Jets at Green Bay. I've got Green Bay right in the ship there and going to 1-1 against the Jets, who looked pretty good last week. They're going to be a really good defense that relies on the running game. Chris Johnson, Chris Ivory, those guys are going to be heavily relied on this year by the Jets. But I've got Green Bay winning that game. Kansas City at Denver. Denver's a 13.5-point favorite in that one. That's the biggest spread of the week. Got Denver winning their home opener to go to 2-0. I think they played at home last week, too. Yeah, they played at home last week. So opening this season with 2 straight home games for the Broncos. They're 3:25 kick there on CBS. But I've got Denver winning that game. Kansas City, never was a huge believer in them. I thought that they were a little bit closer to 8-8 than 13-3 or whatever it was that they were last year. I think they'll regress to the mean this year, and I've got Denver winning that game. Chicago, San Francisco is a fun one. It's at San Francisco, the opener of Levi's Stadium. They're going to be giving away commemorative ticket boxes to season ticket holders. It's kind of cool, like a little box.
Chicago's kind of a wild card for me.
Yeah.
They could be really good.
A lot of people are talking Jay Cutler for MVP with Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall and Martellus Bennett. They've got some weapons.
But then again, he might be Jay Cutler.
Matt Forte. That's the problem with Jay Cutler. He'll go Romo on you.
Yeah.
Like he'll go for 400 yards, but 4 interceptions.
Yeah, his problem is him.
He's the reason that they're in games, and the reason. Let's put it this way. A lot of times he's the reason that they're in trouble and the reason that they have a chance. So, sort of Romo-ish. He'll keep the other team in the game. Interceptions, he'll keep his team in the game by throwing for 400 yards. And take it or leave it. You love it or hate it. But Chicago's defense is not what it once was. I expect San Francisco to win that game, especially at home. But that's going to be a good one. And then Philadelphia, Indianapolis. I couldn't even pick this game. I didn't know. Monday Nighter in Indianapolis. I do think Indianapolis is going to be one of the 3 best teams in the AFC. I think Philadelphia looked really, really bad in the first half last week, but rolled off 34 points in the second half against Jacksonville. I think Philadelphia, eventually people are going to figure out Chip Kelly. I don't think that has happened yet, and I don't think it's coming anytime soon. But in the NFL, where it's not a let's prepare for this team for a week, maybe 2 at the most, it's a we live, breathe, eat, and sleep this game. People will figure out the zone read, the wildcat, whatever it might be. It's all been figured out at some point or another by NFL teams, and I think they're going to figure out Chip Kelly as well and the Philadelphia Eagles, but they haven't yet. So this game I think is going to be a good one on Monday night. I literally could not pick who I thought was going to win that Eagles-Colts game there on Monday night. So we'll see how that goes. That's the best kind of game. When you don't have a clue, you just want to see who wins. And usually you know pretty quickly who's got the upper hand, but those are the types of games I like to watch. And then on the college football landscape, we'll talk about Arkansas, Texas Tech after the break, but Virginia Tech hosting Eastern Carolina. Yeah, we can go to a break real quickly, but Virginia Tech hosting East Carolina. East Carolina gave South Carolina all they wanted last week, so that's going to be a fun one. Scrolling down here, let's see if there are any other ranked teams. Georgia, South Carolina, game of the week. Number 6, Georgia at 24th ranked South Carolina. I've got Georgia winning that game. I heard Kirk Herbstreit say yesterday it's going to be closer than the experts think. He stole a line from his boy Lee Corso. I think Georgia wins that game by 2 touchdowns. I think they're just that much better. Scrolling on down here, see if there's any other games of note. Tennessee, Oklahoma, that one's going to be fun. UCLA, Texas, they're going to send Texas down to did they lose their first 2 games? I know they lost to BYU. I think they won their first game.
I think they won their first.
So they're
game,
1-1. They're going to go to 0-2 or 1-2 as UCLA is going to come in there and beat them. And really, other than that, there are a lot of it's sort of cupcake time in college football. There are a couple of non-conference matchups that are pretty good, but it's next week and the week after when it really starts heating up.
Arkansas's game against Texas Tech will be one of those most.
It's one of the top 5 games this
Yeah.
week. I mean, obviously Georgia, South Carolina is going to be game day.
Well, it's 2 teams that you're going to find out a lot about with that game, so I'm definitely excited about it. Even if I wasn't a fan, I'd want to see because it's Big 12, old Southwest Conference, matchup again. Big 12 versus SEC is always fun.
Next week you've got Auburn, Kansas State. You've got, let's see if there's any other big games. It's another one of those weeks where it's a little slow. Mississippi State, LSU, Clemson, Florida State. But that's kind of how it's going to be for the next couple weeks. You're going to have a few good games and some time for you to go catch a nap. So we'll see. We'll talk Arkansas, Texas Tech. I'm going to tell you how the Razorbacks are going to have to go about beating the Texas Tech Fighting Kingsberries right after the break.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
All right, Arkansas, 2:30 kick on Saturday in Lubbock, Texas. Boy, if there's any place in the world you could be on a Saturday, Lubbock, Texas is the place that anyone in the world with a brain would choose to go. Middle of the desert. Lubbock, Texas. Guns up for Texas Tech. I hope they've prepared for this game, or maybe there's another fad going around that they've had to prepare a video for, like the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. Did you see it? Did you watch it? Cliff
Talking about
Kingsbury,
Cliffs,
yeah. The Texas Tech entire team during a practice one day choreographed a video to where they would all dump water on each other, and I don't know how long it took, but whatever they were doing, much more important than preparing for a football game. And you wonder why UCA almost beat them. I'm not all that high on Texas Tech right now. Can give you a little bit of information about,
Said clearly.
I'm just not a big fan. I mean, obviously, homerism comes. I got to get my digs in while I can. There's several teams on Arkansas. Have you looked at Arkansas' schedule? You know, they play the 6th-ranked team in the country twice. They play Auburn, and now Texas A&M is ranked 6th in the country, or Georgia is ranked 6th in the country. Texas A&M's 7th, so that's much worse.
That's not nearly.
That's much worse. Yeah, and right there in there is Alabama. So Arkansas plays number 6 Auburn, number 3 Alabama, number 7 Texas A&M, number 6 Georgia, number 10 LSU, and another one, Ole Miss, that's like 20th ranked or whatever they are. So it's just a ridiculous schedule that the Razorbacks play. So I have to get my digs in while I can. Texas Tech, they pass for 365 yards a game. They rush for 205 yards a game. That's 570 yards of total offense a game. That's Texas Tech. It's the Mike Leach tree, the Kevin Sumlin, Mike Leach, Cliff Kingsbury sort of tree, where Cliff Kingsbury played at Texas Tech under Mike Leach, coached under Kevin Sumlin there at Texas A&M. He's in that sort of mold. They want to throw it all over the place. They want to spread it out, which I will grant them is one of Arkansas's weaknesses. Covering the pass is a weakness for Arkansas. It's one of the 3 teams on Arkansas' schedule. Auburn can make things uncomfortable with taking advantage of mismatches. Obviously, Texas A&M spreads it out, and they're playing very, very well right now. Texas Tech was the other one. Now, Alabama and LSU, they're just going to beat you by pounding you in the face and making you like it. But Texas Tech, Texas A&M, and Auburn, 3 teams that I look at and I say, I don't like the matchup as far as the way they're going to attack Arkansas and the advantages that they'll have over a secondary that I don't think is very good in Arkansas. But on the flip side, Maddie made a point earlier, and I wanted to point this out. Texas Tech, they're not that good on defense. They gave up 35 points to UCA, 26 to UTEP, and are struggling to stop people. They're 96th in the country in points against, 30.5 points per game that they're giving up. And they're not very big on defense. They lost the good players that they had from last year on defense. So they're having some struggles there on defense with Texas Tech. Maddie said earlier that they were trying to stuff the box with 8 guys just to stop the run against UTEP.
He couldn't.
If you're having trouble stopping the run against UTEP with 8 in the box, you're going to be in trouble against Arkansas, because you put 8 in the box and say Arkansas pass, and if Arkansas can still run the ball, here's the thing about 8 in the box. There's only 11 guys on the field. That's 2 guys over here playing, corner most likely, and a single safety. You get past that first line, if they're not able to stop the run and you get past that first line into the second level, who's going to make the tackle? You're going to have a safety or a cornerback or maybe a linebacker chasing Jonathan Williams and Alex Collins. I like Arkansas's chances.
Yeah, I think Arkansas will be able to exploit their weaknesses better than they can exploit ours. That's what I think it's going to come down to. I just think Arkansas's running game and that offensive line being as big as they are, and like you said, loading the box against UTEP and UCA, still not be able to stop them. They're going to have to do the same thing against Arkansas. They won't stop us, and they're going to be guys like Hunter Henry, who there's nobody, I doubt there will be anybody who can match up with a guy like him on the outside. So I think that they're just not going to be able to cover up all of their weaknesses, and I'm sure we'll get torched too.
Oh yeah,
yards wise,
Texas Tech will score some points,
but yeah,
they'll give it'll have to be a bend but don't break defense.
This is crazy to say because we just broke our losing streak of 10 games, but I would be shocked if Arkansas lost. Even though it's at Texas Tech, I just feel that strong way about this game.
I'm the same way for a couple of reasons. How long has it been since a spread it out passing team, throw it every down type team won a national championship? Just go look that up and tell me. You may say Auburn. No, Auburn ran the ball more than they passed the ball, and that's their ground. They're an SEC team. That's what they do. These teams that spread it out and throw it every down, they don't win national championships. And I'm not saying that Arkansas is even in the conversation, or you should say Texas Tech's going to lose Arkansas because Texas Tech can't win a national championship. But there are more moving parts, more things that can go wrong when you're throwing the ball every down. Who was it? I guess it was Lombardi maybe that said 3 things can happen when you're passing the football and 2 of them are bad. So there are a lot of things that can go wrong when you're passing the ball. Arkansas is going to employ a bend but don't break defense. They want this game to be as short as possible, and they want to pound Texas Tech. with the run. I think they're going to be able to do that with ease as far as the running game goes. I know Texas Tech's going to throw the ball all over the place, and Arkansas is going to try to make them march it down the field methodically without making a mistake. You want to limit big plays. You always want to limit big plays. But you don't want them to score touchdowns on 40, 50-yard passes when you can say, all right, you want to throw the ball 60 times. We'll throw it 60 times for 5, 6, 7 yards a pop and just do it over and over and over all the way down the field without making a mistake. Because I think that's what Arkansas is going to do defensively. I know Rob Smith's style is to come after you and to put pressure on you, and that may work, and they'll do some of that. I'm sure they'll bring pressure. But the smarter defense in a game like this, when you think you're the better team, you think you're going to be able to grind them out, you don't think they're going to be able to stop you as well, is to say, all right, beat us without making big plays. Beat us in a passing game, which I know you're going to want to do when we drop 8. And we just send our defensive line, which I think Arkansas's defensive line is going to win the battle up front, and we can get whatever pressure Dietrich Wise is going to play. So you've got Dietrich Wise on one end and Trey Flowers on the other. Good luck. And then Tywan Johnson had 3 or 4 sacks, 3.5 sacks on last Saturday against Nichols Junior High. So you got guys who are going to be able to put pressure on the quarterback. I can see Arkansas dropping a bunch of folks and just making tackles. If they can make those tackles and make Texas Tech make mistakes, then they force a turnover here or there, I think Arkansas is going to win this game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2 touchdowns plus. I'm just going to say it. Do I have reason to say it? I don't know. You may disagree. Texas Tech's a favorite in this game. I can't for the life of me tell you how Texas Tech is favored in this game. And I may come back on Monday and look like an absolute buffoon.
Hey, if you do, then I do too.
But
we're in this boat together.
I just think Arkansas is going to be the tight ends, I think, are going to be big in this game because Texas Tech is going to load the box. No team against Arkansas this year is going to just say, all right, go ahead. We're just going to man you up 7 in the box, like 6, 7 in the box like normal, and we're going to play you straight. No, they're going to put 8 in the box, and they're going to say, beat us with the pass. So Hunter Henry, A.J. Derby, those are going to be big names to watch out for. The slot receivers, the inside guys, the security blankets, so to speak, for the 5 to 6 yard dump off pass and go break a tackle, try to get a first down. I don't think that the outside wide receivers are going to have a huge game unless they just get some sort of big advantage, because I don't think Arkansas needs to throw the ball outside the numbers as much against Texas Tech as they will against some of these teams. Now, some of these teams are going to put 8, 9 in the box, and Arkansas just dare you to throw. And then you have to make the throw outside the numbers. But when you're playing a team, like Maddie said, who struggled to stop the run even with 8 in the box, then you just pound it at them, and you say, we're going to stay balanced, and you're not going to have a clue what's coming, and we're going to beat you with whatever we feel like beating you with. So I'm looking forward to Arkansas winning that game. We'll give you some information about that game on Friday. But Hogs Illustrated, I appreciate them tweeting this stuff because they're at Coach Bielema's they're live tweeting Coach Bielema's press conference. He says Tevin Mitchell, Dietrich Wise, Sleepy McKinney, and DeAndre Coley all practiced Tuesday. Mitchell worked with the scout team and then with the twos. So apparently the threat of a red shirt has miraculously healed Tevin Mitchell, which if it takes the threat of a red shirt to miraculously heal you, go get the red shirt. See you later. Tevin Mitchell is going to have to be one of those that proves it on the field before I believe that he's got anything quality to offer. He said, Coach Bielema said he's guardedly optimistic that Mitchell will play against Texas Tech. He's excited to show some things in all phases of the game this weekend, this is Coach Bielema, that we haven't shown until this point. He said freshman JoJo Robinson practiced Tuesday. Big practice for him today to see if he can be worked in this weekend. We'll see if the Hogs will be able to use the services of Mr. JoJo Robinson. I can see him having a game this week as one of those little jitterbug, throw it to him in the middle of the field and let him make some folks miss. I'd like to see him have a good game this Saturday against Texas Tech. Like I said, I expect that Arkansas is going to win this game, and I'm going to be absolutely surprised if they don't win. So, all right, anything else that we need to hit today or anything that we can't save for Friday? Let's see. No. All right, Maddie, we got to get out of here. I hear the horn, the Russellville noonday horn that tells us that we've got to get out of here. We've run out of time. We appreciate your time today. We appreciate you joining us, and we hope that you'll be back with us on Friday. You can give us a call with your thoughts. You can answer our CrossFit Russellville poll question, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11 to noon, and just make this your show. And I do appreciate, again, those who gave scores on Friday night. We knew the scores to the games throughout the night. I was able to tell people what was going on in these games. It was pretty cool, and I appreciate each one of you for doing that. Looking forward to Dardanelle Boonville this Friday night, man. We'll preview the high school games. We'll look some more at the NFL, college football. We'll give you predictions on Prediction Friday. But for Maddie, I'm Mark saying so long. 11 o'clock Friday at rivervalleyleader.com. That's where we'll be on Friday with the Sports Blitz.
Peace.